All right, Auburn takes on Georgia, 6:30 Eastern tip-off on Wednesday, January 4th, 2023. Auburn's the 7.5-point favorite, totals 136 and a hook. And if you want to see which one of these free plays on this video that I'm actually betting on personally, you're going to want to sign up for my all-inclusive full access board member package on my website. It gives you access to every single one of my personal plays, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days if you sign up here today. It works out to be just $1.66 a day, and you're going to get anywhere between 4 to 6 personal plays daily. Now, as good as Auburn's been, this is a mighty big number to lay in a conference game on the road. They've already struggled as it is to cover the point spread here recently. They failed to cover in 7 out of their last 10, and they're just not a great shooting team. They're shooting just 67% from the stripe. They're also making only 29% of their three-pointers. Now they're facing a Georgia team who prides themselves on defensive play. They're also one of the best three-point defending teams in the country. They're limiting their competition to just 29% shooting from three-land. When it comes to offensive production, Kario Okendo scoring 14 points a game along with 3 rebounds. Now, Terry Roberts is also averaging 14 points a night along with 4 assists. When it comes to the total, Georgia went 60% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Auburn saw unders against the likes of Florida, Northwestern, and Texas Southern. I'm going to lean toward Georgia plus 7.5. Under 136 and a hook. Next ball game, Texas A&M taking on Florida, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Florida's minus 5.5, totals 139. Now the Gators are scoring over 75 points a game. They covered the point spread in 4 out of their last 6. When it comes to offensive production, Colin Castleton averages a team-high 15 points a game, along with 7 boards. Meanwhile, Cowie Reeves and Will Richards, they're both drilling over 40% of their three-pointers. Now they're facing a Texas A&M team who struggles guarding the three-pointer themselves. They actually have one of the higher defensive three-point percentages in the SEC. Meanwhile, as a team, Texas A&M failed to cover recently against the likes of Northwestern State, Wofford, and Boise State. Now, total-wise, 5 out of the Aggies' last 8 did get over the number. Meanwhile, Florida saw overs against the likes of Florida A&M, Oregon State, and Xavier. I'm going to lean toward the Gators, minus 5.5, over 139. Next matchup, it is going to be Duke, NC State, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Duke is minus 5, totals 144.5. But despite being favored in this one, the Blue Devils really haven't been great covering recently. They failed to cover against the likes of Wake Forest, Boston College, and Purdue. They've also been little threat shooting it from long range. These guys are making just 32% of their three-pointers. Now they're facing an NC State team who plays some pretty tough defense themselves. They're limiting their competition to just 31% shooting from three-land. When it comes to offensive production, the Wolfpack scoring 80 points a game. Casey Morsell is drilling 47% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Terquavion Smith, he's averaging over 18 points a night. Now, total-wise, the Wolfpack saw overs against the likes of Furman, Coppin State, and Dayton. Meanwhile, Duke went 5-1 to the over in their last 6. I'm going to lean toward NC State plus 5, keeping that one close, over 144 and a hook. Next ball game, little Big Ten action. I'm talking about Penn State squaring off against Michigan, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Michigan's the 4-point favorite, totals 141. Now, the Wolverines covered in 5 out of their last 7. They're doing a nice job on offense. They're averaging over 76 points a game, and they do a nice job grabbing offensive boards. Hunter Dickinson grabs 8.5 rebounds a night. He's also the team's leading scorer with 18 points a game. Now, Jet Howard, he's averaging over 14.5 points a game himself. They're facing a Penn State squad who failed to cover in 5 out of their last 8. The Nittany Lions are also amongst the worst defensive rebounding teams in the Big Ten. Now, total-wise, Penn State saw 3 out of their last 4 get over the number. Meanwhile, Michigan saw overs against the likes of North Carolina, Virginia, and Minnesota. I'm going to lean toward Michigan -4 over 141. Next contest, it is going to be Iowa State taking on Oklahoma. And that'll be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Oklahoma's -3.5, totals 124. And even though the Sooners are very efficient shooters, they just don't put up a whole lot of points. These guys are averaging only 69 points a game. And they're one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the Big 12. Now they're facing an Iowa State team who's very tough to score against. These guys give up just 57 points a game. They're also in the top 25 in guarding the field goal. When it comes to scoring, Jaron Holmes, he's averaging 13.5 points a night. Currently leads the team in points per game. Now Caleb Grill and Gabe Koster, they're averaging double-digit points a game themselves. When it comes to the total on this one, the Cyclones went 70% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Oklahoma saw unders against the likes of Florida, Ole Miss, and Nebraska. I'm going to lean toward Iowa State +3.5, under 124. Next game, it is going to be UConn taking on Providence, 8:30 p.m. East. UConn's the 4-point favorite, totals 142. Now, the one-loss Huskies are one of the best rebounding teams in the game right now. They're in the top 10 in defensive boards. And they're also limiting their opponents to just 26% shooting from three-land. When it comes to offensive production, Adama Sanogo leads the Huskies with 17 points a game. Now, teammate Jordan Hawkins, he's getting over 14.5 points a game himself. And he's making 40% of his three-pointers. Now, they're facing a Providence team who failed to cover this year versus the likes of TCU, Columbia, and Merrimack. When it comes to the total, the Friars went 6-2 to the over in their last 8. Meanwhile, UConn went 70% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward UConn -4 over 142. Next matchup, it is going to be TCU taking on Baylor, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Baylor Bears are -6, totals 144.5. Now, Baylor's had a tough time covering the point spread. They failed to cover in 3 out of their last 4. And they're coming fresh off a 15-point loss to Iowa State. Now, the Bears were held to just 62 points in that loss. They're facing a one-loss TCU team who's been tough to shoot against. These guys are holding their opponents to just 38% shooting from the field. They're also in the top 30 in defending the 3-ball. Now, offensively, Mike Miles averages over 18.5 points a game. That's a team best. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Miller, he's scoring 14 points a game himself. Now, injury-wise, LJ Cryer's questionable for Baylor. Meanwhile, Chama Chachwa, he's not playing. Now, total-wise, Baylor saw overs against the likes of Iowa State, Marquette, and UCLA. Meanwhile, TCU saw 4 out of their last 7 get over the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward TCU +6 over 144.5. That, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. I like College of Charleston -11 over 151. Georgetown +10 under 143. Georgia +7.5 under 136 and a hook. George Washington +9 over 139.5. Duquesne -1.5 over 137. And if you're watching me on TikTok right now, please feel free to hit that heart button. And if you haven't done so already, please feel free to give me a follow. I'd love to connect with you on a daily basis. I like Florida -5.5 over 139. Dayton -14 over 133. Davidson -4 under 135. Georgia Mason -1 under 128. Fordham +3 under 136. Radford -8 under 138. Winthrop -6 over 134. High Point -2 over 155. Longwood -7 over 144.5. Gardner-Webb -3 over 128. Miami Hurricanes -6 over 146. NC State +5 over 144.5. Northern Iowa -2 under 137.5. Michigan -4 over 141. Mercer -1 under 136. Western Carolina +7 over 139. Chattanooga +1.5 over 134 and a hook. Furman -15 over 147. UNC Wilmington -10 under 134. Iowa State +3.5 under 124. Tulsa, plus 14, under 154. USF, minus 1.5, under 136. East Carolina, plus 6, under 130. Samford, with an M, minus 13, over 143. Stephen F. Austin, minus 2, over 144. St. Louis, minus 3, over 149. Indiana State, minus 7, over 144. Missouri State, minus 14, over 128. Illinois Chicago, plus 6, under 143.5. Bradley, minus 4, under 132. Alabama A&M, minus 11, over 133. Grambling, plus 3, under 131.5. Drake, plus 1, over 127. Prairie View, minus 2, over 141. Arkansas Pine Bluff, plus 4, under 140.5. UConn, minus 4, over 142. Incarnate Word, plus 14, over 140. Missouri, plus 8, over 154. Arkansas Little Rock, minus 6, over 148. Wake Forest, plus 11, over 152. Northwestern, plus 4, under 135. Butler, minus 7, under 137. Clemson, plus 7, under 138. TCU, plus 6, over 144.5. With my next and final free pick, I'm going to lean toward Nevada, minus 4, under 141. With that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. Now, guys, if you do end up signing up for my board member package here today, you're going to get access to that membership for the next 30 days. And of course, guys, you're also going to get access to all of my premium picks, all of my memberships. It's an all-inclusive package. You're going to get access to everything every single day for the next 30 days. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube or TikTok. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.